Hello guys, today we are starting to discuss the topics of General Studies Paper 1. Okay, the first topic is Indian culture, wh- which will cover the salient aspects of art forms, literature, and architecture from ancient to modern times. Okay, so let's discuss the first question itself. Okay. Buddhism originated as an alternative tradition to the excessive importance given to the rituals and sacrifices in Vedic tradition. Examine. Okay. So let's uh, discuss the nuances of answer writing. Okay. So it's an easy question. Why this question? Okay. The key demand of this question is to write about the reasons for the emergence of Buddhism. Okay, reasons for the emergence of Buddhism. So the directive word here is examine. So what is the meaning of examine? When asked to examine, we must investigate the topic, content words in detail, inspect it, investigate it, and establish the key facts and issues related to the topic in question. While doing so, we should explain why these facts and issues are important and their implications. Okay, so the structure of the answer should be intro, body, and conclusion. IBC format. Okay. So in introduction, start by giving the context. Okay. Context of Buddhism. Then the body should include first write about the various factors responsible for the emergence of Buddhism. What are the factors like influence of time, simple doctrines, the personality of Buddha, inexpensive, no caste, royal patronage. Next, comment about the role of excessive importance given to rituals and sacrifices in Vedic tradition and its role in popularity of Buddhism. Okay, then conclude it by summarizing. Okay, so let's delve into the topic. Okay, Buddhism is a religion that was founded by Gautama Sri Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, more than 2500 years ago in India. With about 470 million followers, scholars consider Buddhism one of the major world religions. The religion has historically been most prominent in East and Southeast Asia, but its influence is growing in the West. Many Buddhist ideas and philosophies overlap with those of other faiths. Okay, in body, the primary cause for the rise of Jainism and Buddhism was the religious unrest in India in the 6th century BC. Okay, the complex rituals and sacrifices advocated in the later Vedic period were not acceptable to the common people. The sacrificial ceremonies were also found to be too expensive. However, it took the social route due to the following factors. So, what were the reasons for the rise of Buddhism? It should be divided into social cause, religious unrest, economic cause, Brahmanic supremacy. Okay. So what were the social cause? Okay. Caste system became rigid and it created inequality in the society. Okay, the Kshatriyas had resented the domination of the priestly class, and both Buddha and Mahavira belong to Kshatriya origin. Okay, next point is religious unrest. Religious life in ancient India was originally very simple, but in later Vedic period, complex rituals and ceremonies began to dominate the practice of worship. The complex rituals and sacrifices were not acceptable to the common people. It became expensive and elaborate. Blind faith and superstitious beliefs confused the people. Okay, next is economic cause. The growth of trade led to the improvement in economic conditions of the Vaishyas. Now they wanted to enhance their social status, but the Orthodox Varna system did not allow this. Similarly, money lending was imperative for traders, which was prohibited in Vedas. Thus, merchant class extended the chief support to these religions. Next cause is, moreover, rise of agriculture raised demand for draught animals, which were being sacrificed for religious ceremonies. The principle of non-violence suited settled agrarian community better, which was brought by Buddhism. Next cause is Brahmanic supremacy. Brahminic supremacy. Okay, priests considered themselves superior and others as inferiors. They took advantage of knowing Sanskrit and interpreted religion according to their convenience. Whereas these new religions were open for all and preached in local languages like Prakrit and Pali, which found appeal to common masses. Okay, then let's discuss about the impact of Buddhism on Indian society. Okay, we can add these points into the impact of Jainism also or other heterodox sects. Okay, so impact of Buddhism on Indian society, languages and literature, then art and architecture, philosophy, political progress, symbol religion, opposition or to caste system. So the in these sectors the impact was seen. Okay, so languages and literature, Jaina contribution to Prakrit and Kannada literature. Okay, the language of Pali and other languages developed through the teachings of Buddhism. Okay, art and architecture, stupas at Sanji, Barhut, and Gaya. Jaina temples at Mount Abu in Rajasthan. So Mount Abu is in Rajasthan. In the domain of architecture, are wonderful pieces of architecture. Buddhism takes the credit for the chaityas and the viharas in different parts of India. Okay. Next is philosophy. The concept of ahimsa was chief contribution. Later, it became one of the cherished values of our nation. Political progress. Sabhas and samidhis find its root here. It had also promoted the spread of Indian culture to other parts of Asia. Next is simple religion. Its principles were very simple. It was easily followed by the people. It was not complex like Vedic religion. Next is opposition to caste system. Due to their opposition to the complexity of caste system, reduced from the society. Due to their opposition, the complexity of caste system reduced from the society. Okay. Then the conclusion. Okay, Buddhism arose to suit the needs of changing society, patronized by an emerging class, and left an indelible mark on India's culture, architecture, philosophy, and way of living. Some tenets, some tenets of Buddhism have been adopted by Hinduism in their long course of association and have become an integrated part of the society. These religions also found their influence in neighboring countries and helped India expand its footprint in these regions, paving way for a cultural connects to this day. Okay. Next question is, or next topic is, there is much in common between Buddhism and Jainism. There are similarities between the two, but the basic differences between the philosophies of the two provides each of them a place of distinct religion. Analyze. Okay. So the key demand of this question is to compare and contrast the tenets of Buddhism and Jainism. Okay. Analyze. What's the meaning of analyze? When asked to analyze, you must examine methodically the structure or nature of the topic by separating it into component parts and present them in a summary. Okay. So the structure of the answer should be in IBC format: introduction, body, and conclusion. So in introduction, you should highlight a fact such as numerous religious sects arose in the middle of Gangetic plains in the second half of the 6th century BC. Of these sects, Buddhism and Jainism were the most important, and they emerged as the most potent religious reform movement. Okay, in the body, first write about the similarities in the two religious philosophies, such as both were inspired by the Upanishads, ideas of misery, caste, and rituals. Okay, then next write about the differences, such as in the aspects of moksha and the means of its attainment, ahimsa, concept of soul, etc. So conclude by summarizing. Okay, so let's delve into the introduction. The 6th century BC is considered a wonderful century in history. Great thinkers like Buddha, Mahavira, Heraclitus, Zoroaster, Confucius, and Lao Tse lived and preached their ideas in this century. Among them, the most successful were Jainism and Buddhism, whose impact on the Indian society was remarkable. Okay, in the body, as early mentioned, similarities between Buddhism and Jainism. Okay, What were the similarities between Buddhism and Jainism? Reason for the rise of the religion, then core philosophy, then ahimsa, sangha, and equality. So there are 5 points. So the first point is reason for rise of religion. The primary cause for the rise of Buddhism and Jainism was the religious unrest in India in the 6th century BC. The complex rituals and sacrifices advocated in later Vedic period were not acceptable to the common people. Okay, next is core philosophy. Jainism preaches the three ratnas, which are right, faith, knowledge, and conduct. So, what were the three ratnas of Jainism? Right, faith, knowledge, and conduct. FKC, faith, knowledge, and conduct. Okay, Buddhism also has eightfold path, which includes not only these three, in addition, right, speech, resolve, occupation. Okay, ahimsa. Third point is ahimsa. Both religions espouse non-violence as the foundation of living. Okay, next point is fourth point is sangha. Mahavira organized the sangha to spread his teachings. Buddha had two kinds of disciples, which are the monks, bhikshus, and lay worshippers, ubasikas. Monks, bhikshus, and lay worshippers, ubasikas. The monks were organized into the sangha for the purpose of spreading his teachings. Okay, fifth and last point is equality. Both men and women were accepted in the sanghas. Okay. Next, we'll discuss the differences between Buddhism and Jainism. So there were several differences between Buddhism and Jainism. Uh, what are they? Okay, in Jainism, doctrine of asceticism and renunciation was also carried to extreme lengths by the practice of starvation, nudity, and other forms of self-torture. This was not the case in Buddhism. Okay, even the practice of agriculture was considered sinful in Jainism. Okay, practice of agriculture was considered sinful in Jainism as it causes injury to the earth, worms, and animals. Most of them were traders. Okay, no such distinction is there in Buddhism. Okay, no such distinction in there in Buddhism. Okay, Buddhism made a direct attack on the caste system. So who made a direct attack on the caste system? Buddhism. So Jainism did not make a direct attack on the caste system. Mahavira was against any social distinctions and threw open his order to all. Okay, Prakriti was major language through which Jainism was preached. The language of Pali and other local languages developed through the teachings of Buddhism. Okay, Buddhism was more a social than religious revolution. It taught the code of practical ethics and laid down the principle of social equality. Okay, through his missionary effort of Ashoka, spread Buddhism into West Asia and Ceylon. Okay, thus a local religious sect was transformed into world religion. So Buddhism transformed into a world religion by the efforts of Ashoka. Okay, Jainism was restricted to mainly Indian subcontinent. Okay, so finally the conclusion: Buddhism and Jainism proved a people an alternative from the regressive religion and rituals of the time. They became a beacon of hope for the downtrodden and marginalized. In this way, one can see many similarities between the two religions with minute differences. Okay, next we will discuss the next topic. Okay. Uh, Stupa is regarded as a monument for veneration. It is associated with votive and commemorative purposes. Trace the development of stupa architecture during ancient India. So, the key demand of this question is to write about the characteristics of stupa and its progress during ancient age. Okay, the structure of the answer is IBC, introduction, body, and conclusion. So, in introduction, begin by defining what is a stupa. Okay, what stupa is. Okay, then the body should be include first draw a small representative diagram of a stupa and mention the major features of that belong in a stupa and their significance. Okay, diagram will fetch you extra marks, so please add or please practice some diagrams before your exam. Okay. Next, mention the progress in the construction of stupa during the ancient India with examples. Okay, conclude by summarizing regarding stupa architecture. Okay, the introduction. Okay, the stupa is Sanskrit for heap. Okay, this stupa is an important form of Buddhist architecture. Buddhist architecture, though it predates Buddhism. It predates Buddhism. Okay, it is generally considered to be a sepulchral monument, a place of burial or receptacle for religious objects. At its simplest, a stupa is a relic-filled mound, like or hemispheric structure used for meditation. From the Vedic time onwards, stupas were used as burial mounds in India. Okay, in Buddhism, the earliest stupas contained portions of Buddha's ashes, and as a result, the stupa began to be associated with the body of the Buddha. Adding the Buddha's ashes to the mound of dirt activated it with the energy of the Buddha himself. Adding the Buddha's ashes to the mound of dirt activated it with the energy of Buddha himself. So the body, next is the body. Okay, this is the stupa, illustration of a stupa. This is Chatri. Then this portion is Harmiga. Then this hemispherical structure is called Anda. Then this is Pradikshina Padas. These both are Pradikshina Padas. Okay, then this is Medhi. Then the gateway is known as Torana. Okay, the grilled structure is called Vedika. Okay, so Chatri, Harmiga, Anda, Pradikshana Padas, Medhi, Vedika, Torana. Okay, stupa art illustrates Buddhist ideals. Okay, Sanchi. So there are 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 points. So the first point is Sanchi, Sarnath, Amaravati, and Barhut stupas are the oldest examples of early Buddhist stupa art. The birth, enlightenment, first sermon, and great departure are depicted using various motifs in these stupas. Sanji, Sarnath, Amaravati, and Barhuta stupas are the oldest examples of early Buddhist stupa art. The Buddhist birth, enlightenment, first sermon, and the great departure are depicted using various motifs in these stupas. The Jataka stories were depicted on the torrents of the stupas. Torrents here. Jataka stories were depicted in torrents of stupas. The Jataka stories are a method of teaching Buddhists the lessons of karma, samsara, and dharma. The overall structure of the Jataka tales is about the cycle of samsara that the Buddha had to experience before reaching enlightenment. The main structure of the great stupa consisted of a flattened hemispherical dome called an anda, placed atop a cylindrical base. Anda represents the infinite dome of heaven and signifies the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. The Harmiga. Okay, Anda is this Harmiga. Okay, Harmiga located at the summit of Anda symbolize the zenith beyond life and death, Nirvana. So Harmiga is Nirvana. Zenith beyond life and death, Nirvana. Okay, its resemblance to a sacrificial altar was of particular significance for the attainment of nirvana required the sacrifice of the self and the world. What was below needed to be sacrificed to reach the top. Okay, the parasol was always a distinguishing feature that implied royalty and dignity. It symbolized the sacred tree of life or enlightenment. Okay, the three elements of the chatra at Sanji represented the three jewels of Buddhism: Buddha, Dharma, the law, and the Sangha, the community of monks. Okay, three jewels of Buddhism are Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Okay, the Chatra, yes, Chatra or Chatri. Okay, the Chatra is thought to be a tree as explained by Govinda in the psycho-cosmic symbolism of the Buddhist stupas. The spiritual birth of the world starts in the mind of a man, and the tree of life grows out of his own heart, the center of his world, and spreads into ever new infinities, into ever higher and purer realms, until it has turned into a tree of enlightenment. Vedikas were repeated around the stupa and on the terrace on which the Anda rested made the level. They served to demarcate the boundary of the sacred precinct with the secular world. Okay, development of stupa architecture during post-Mauryan age. Okay, development of stupa architecture during post-Mauryan age. Okay, early evolution of the stupa. Okay, Mauryan, Indo-Greek, Indo-Greek, late Indo-Greek, Indo-Scythian, Kushan. Okay. In the post-Mauryan period, stupas became larger and more decorative, and wood and brickwork were replaced by stone. Okay, wood and brickwork were replaced by stone. Okay, stupas were cylindrical, drum-shaped, and octagon-shaped pillars behind stupas without any decorations were also found. Torrents, gateways was first used. Okay, the torrents were decorated with intricate figures and patterns. Okay, with the elaborations in the stupa design, architects and sculptors had plenty of room to plan elaborations and carve out images on the torrents. Okay, Jataka stories became part of stupa decoration. Example, in Barhut, the tall images of Yaksha and Yakshani, along with the narratives, are found. In one narrative relief depicting Queen Maya Devi's. Okay, Maya Devi's image. Okay, Stupa 1 at Sanji has upper as well as lower Pradikshina Pada, four torrents depicting Jadagas. Advanced carving technique is used in these stupas. Okay, advanced carving technique. Okay, with the rising construction of stupas in various parts of the country, regional stylistic variations also begin to emerge. Okay, conclusion. It is thus apparent that the stupa, which was conceived as a simple monument for the Buddha's corporeal relics, have over time transformed in its form and nomenclature and resulted in various types of structures all over the world. In some regions, even supplementary structures like monasteries have, have come up alongside stupas, fueling the inception of new Buddhist orders and sects. However, the core ideology of the stupa remains constant throughout each new development, as does its symbolism and several crucial architectural features. These characteristics must therefore be given due consideration and importance while designing any stupa project. Okay, value addition points are the present day. What are the condition of present day stupas? Okay, the core ideology of stupa is retained in its terms of architectural designs across millennia and even to this day. However, the differences lies in the material used in the modern day. Okay, for instance, the Sambodhi Chaitya is a stupa built with reinforced concrete on a platform supported by two interlocking arches. Okay, apart from this, stupa is also having access via elevators. Okay, Patliputra Karuna Stupa is having glass facade along with void stupa concept, so people can see the holy relics along with the ramp design for entrance instead of stairs, which makes it barrier free for everyone. Okay, next topic is the rise of Delhi Sultanate introduced a large Islamic architecture to India using Central Asian styles. which over a period of time adopted some features of earlier Indian architecture of the subcontinent discussed. So, what is the key demand of this question? To write about the nature of architect under the sultans of Delhi, its evolution and its influence of earlier India architecture on them. Okay, so the active word here is discuss. So, what is the meaning of discuss? This is an all encompassing directive. You must debate on paper by going through the details of the issues concerned by examining each one of them. You must give reasons for both and against arguments. Okay. Okay, so the introduction, what should we include? Begin by mentioning the with the arrival of Turks, new form of architecture got introduced in India. In body, first mention the major religious and secular structures constructed under the various dynasties of Sultanate, with a special reference to Tughlaq dynasty. Okay. Next, write about significant and new changes in construction technologies introduced by the sultans. Give examples of few monuments. Next, mention the influences of earlier Indian architecture, which was adopted by sultans of Delhi. Cite examples by substantiating. Okay, conclusion, conclude by summarizing. Okay, so the introduction should include the Muslim invasions into India had ultimately resulted in the establishment of Delhi Sultanate, which existed from AD 1206 to 1526. The Muslim invasions into India had ultimately resulted in the establishment of Delhi Sultanate, which existed from AD 1206 to 1526. Five different dynasties were there, which are the slave, Khalji, Tughlaq, Sayyid, and Lodhis. Okay, once more. Slave, Khalji, Tughlaq, Sayyid, and Lodhis ruled under the Delhi Sultanate. New architectural forms and styles were introduced in India during the medieval period. The synthesis of Indian and Islamic architectural features led to the emergence of Indo-Saracenic or Indo-Islamic architecture. Okay. The Indo-Islamic architecture under the Sultans of Delhi includes both religious and secular structures. Okay. Both secular and religious buildings are influenced by Indo-Islamic architecture, which exhibit Indian, Islamic, Persian, Central Asian, Arabic, and Ottoman Turkish influences. Okay, religious buildings. Earliest example of building activity by a Sultan of Delhi was the Quwatul Islam mosques built by Qutbuddin Aibak. Okay, earliest example of building activity by a Sultan of Delhi was the Quwatul Islam mosque built by Qutbuddin Aibak. Okay, another architectural specimen of this period was the mosques Arhai Dinkara Arhai Dinka Jonpra. Arhai Dinka Jonpra built at Ajmer. Okay. Other notable imperial monuments constructed by Iltutmish were House E Shamsi, Shamsi Idga, Jami Masjid at Badaun, and the Attarkin Ka Darwaza at Nagpur. Alauddin Gilji built Jamait Gan Mosque at the shrine of Nizamuddin Auliya and Alai Darwaza at the Qutub Minar. Okay, the tombs of Mubarak Shah and Muhammad Shah of the Sayyid dynasty and the tomb of Sikandar Lodi of the Lodi dynasty were noteworthy architectural specimens of the Sayyid and Lodi rule. Okay, next topic, next subtopic is secular buildings. Okay, the most magnificent piece of architecture of this era was the Qutub Minar. Qutbuddin Aibak started the construction of the Qutub Minar at Delhi, but could not complete it during his lifetime. It was completed by Iltutmish. Okay. Alauddin Khilji founded the city of Siri and built a palace of 1,000 pillars within it. Alauddin Khilji also constructed a magnificent tank known as Hausi Gas near the city of Siri. Okay, the city of Tughlaqabad, constructed by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, was a notable construction of Tughlaq rule. Okay, Muhammad bin Tughlaq constructed the new city of Jahanpana near the city of Old Delhi, the fort of Adilabad, and some other buildings in Dawlatabad. Okay, the city of Firozabad, Firozshah Kotla Fort palace were important imperial constructions of the time of Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Okay, the new structural changes introduced by the Sultanate rulers. What were the new structural changes introduced by the Sultanate rulers? Okay, the Turks introduced the arch and dome method, slab and beam method, lofty towers or minarets, and decorations using the Arabic script. Okay, they used the skill of the Indian stone cutters. Okay, the use of lime mortar in the construction of buildings and houses altered the building techniques. Okay, the use of lime mortar in the construction of buildings and houses altered the building techniques. Okay, they also added color to their buildings by using marbles, red and yellow sandstones. Okay, they also added color to their buildings by using marbles, red and yellow sandstones. Okay, synthesis of indigenous motif such as bowl motif, lotus, etc. Okay, in the beginning, they converted temples and other structures demolished into mosques. For example, the Quwatul Islam Mosque near the Qutub Minar in Delhi was built by using the materials obtained from destroying many Hindu and Jain temples. Okay, later they began to construct new structures. The most magnificent building of the 13th century was the Qutub Minar, 13th century. Okay, which was founded by Aibak and completed by Iltutmish. Okay, with the arrival of artisans from West Asia, the arch and dome began to show up with precision and perfection. Gradually, local artisans also acquired the skill. The tomb of Balban was adorned with the first true arch, and the Alai Darwaza, built by Alauddin Khilji as a gateway to the Quwatul Islam Mosque, is adorned with the first true dome. First true dome. Okay, Tughlaqs went for introduction of innovative features in architecture, also such as batter or sloping walls. Tughlaqs went for introduction of innovative features in architecture, also such as batter or sloping walls. Use of stone rubble as the principal building material. A new type of arch called the four-centered arch. Okay, the emerge of pointed dome. Okay, the introduction of octagonal plan of tomb building. Okay, once more, batter or sloping walls, use of stone rubble as the principal building material, a new type of arch called the four-centered arch, and the emergence of pointed dome, the introduction of an octagonal plan of tomb building. Okay, later on, conclusion. Later on, the Mughals, the art of Pietra Dura, Jali work became more prominent. They also built lofty forts, palaces, and cities. The Mughals were also fond of laying gardens with running water, which is an extension of gardens introduced by Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi Sultanate paved way for large-scale construction of buildings in Indo-Islamic architecture. Okay. Next topic is, or next question is, critically analyze the importance of Sangam literature as source of understanding history and cultural attributes of ancient South India. Okay, critically analyze the importance of Sangam literature as source of understanding history and cultural attributes of ancient South India. Okay, the key demand of this question is to write about the historical importance of Sangam literature. Okay, the active word here is critically analyze. So what's critically analyze? When asked to analyze, you must examine the methodically the structure or nature of the topic by separating it into component parts and present them in a summary. When critically is suffixed or prefixed to a directive, one needs to look at the good and bad of the topic and give a balanced judgment on the topic. Okay, structure of the answer: introduction, body, conclusion. So in introduction, begin by writing about the three Tamil Sangams and formation of state in southern India. Okay, in body, in the first part, write about the detail, bring about the various dimensions of Sangam text: ideals, ritualism, mysticism, and a tale of valor and love. Okay, next, write about Sangam literature as historical text. They give information about kings, dynasties, administration, taxes, trade and commerce, societal aspects, etc. The classical epics also throw light on contemporary events as well as historical aspects, show the refined and advanced nature of literature. Use various Sangam texts as examples to substantiate your points. Write a few criticisms of Sangam literature as historical texts, lack of chronology, discontinuities, etc. In conclusion, conclude by giving your opinion of Sangam texts as source of history. Okay, in introduction, the Sangam age constitutes an important chapter in the history of South India. According to Tamil legends, there existed three Sangams, which are they? Okay, we will later discuss about the three Sangams. Okay, Sangam means the Academy of Tamil Poets. Okay, so there existed three Sangams in ancient Tamil Nadu, popularly called Muchangam, Moon Changam, Sangam. Okay, these Sangams flourished under the royal patronage of Pandyas. Pandyas. Okay. So in body, there is background, Sangal literature, literary masterpiece, then Sangal literature, source of ancient Indian history, then conclusion. Okay. So the background, the first Sangam held at Madurai was attended by gods and legendary sages, but no literary work of this Sangam was available. Okay. Second Sangam was held at Kapadapuram, but the all literary works had perished except Tolkappiyam. Okay. Third Sangam at Madurai was founded by Muda Tirumaran. Muda Tirumaran. It was attended by a large number of poets who produced voluminous literature, but only a few had survived. Okay. Few had survived. Okay. Upper first Sangam is in Madurai. Second Sangam is at Kabadapuram. Third Sangam is also at Madurai. Okay. Sangam literature, literary masterpiece. The corpus of Sangam literature includes Tolkappiyam, എട്ട് തൊകൈ, പത്ത് പാട്ട്, പതിനെങ്കിൽ കണക്ക്, and two epics, which are the Silappadigaram and Manimekhalai. It is a work on Tamil grammar, but it provides information on the political and socio-economic conditions of the Sangam period. Okay, both Ettutogai and Pattupatte were divided into two main groups: Aham, love, and Puram, valor. Padinengil Kanakku contains 18 works, mostly dealing with ethics and morals. The most important among them is Tirukural, authored by Thiruvalluvar. Silappadigaram, written by Ilango Adigal, and Manimegalai by Sittalai Satyanar, also provides valuable information on the Sangam polity and society. Okay, Sangam literature, sources of ancient Indian history. Okay, political history. We are discussing about the political history, position of women, Sangam society, Sangam polity. Okay, so political history. This Tamil country was ruled by three dynasties, namely the Chera, Chola, and the Pandyas during the Sangam age. The political history of these dynasties can be traced from the literary references. Position of women. There is a plenty of information in the Sangam literature to trace the position of women during the Sangam age. Women poets like Avvayar, Nachalliyar, and Kakkai Padiniyar flourished in this period and contributed to Tamil literature. The courage of women was also appreciated in many poems. Okay, Sangam society. Tolkappiyam refers to five-fold divisions of lands. Kurinyi, hill tracts, Mullai, pastoral, Marudam, agricultural, Neital, coastal, and Palai, desert. Okay, Tolkapiam also refers to four castes, namely Arasar, Andanar, Vanigar, and Vellalar. Okay, the ruling class was called Arasar. Andanars played a significant role in Sangam polity and religion. Vanigars carried on trade and commerce. Vellalers were agriculturists. Sangam polity, hereditary monarchy was the form of government during Sangam period. Land revenue was the chief source of state's income, while custom duty was also imposed on foreign trade. Okay. Trade, both internal and foreign trade was well organized and briskly carried on in Sangam age. The Sangam literature, Greek and Roman accounts, and archaeological evidences provide detailed information on this subject. Spinning and weaving of cotton and silk cloths attained a high quality. The poems mention the cotton cloths as thin as cloud of steam or as slow of a snake. There was a great demand in the Western world for the cotton clothes woven at Urayur. Okay, agriculture. Agriculture was the chief occupation. Rice was the common crop. Ragi, sugarcane, cotton, pepper, ginger, turmeric, cinnamon, and a variety of fruits were the other crops. However, there are disputes among the exact period of Sangam age and its chronology. The most probable date of the Sangam literature has been fixed between the 3rd century BC to 3rd century AD. Okay, on the basis of literary, archaeological, and numismatic evidences. Okay, conclusion. The Sangam age Tamil literary works remain useful sources to reconstruct the history of the period, providing major insights into social and economic life of people, especially in the southern India. Okay, so next topic is folk paintings served as a medium through which a community's traditions, beliefs, and attitudes can be transmitted and passed from one generation to another. Discuss. So the key demand of the question is to write about the importance of folk paintings. Okay, here also the active word is discuss. This is an all encompassing directive. You must debate on paper by going through the details of the issues concerned. By examining each one of them, you must give reasons for and against arguments. Introduction. Begin by giving a brief about folk paintings in India with examples. In body, mention the major elements of folk paintings in India. Elaborate how they are manifestation of cultural diversity as well as regional specializations. Substantiate with examples. Write about the importance of folk paintings. Conclusion. Summarize with respect to folk paintings of India. Okay. In introduction, India is a religious and ethnically diverse country. Indian culture is characterized by distinct languages and rich traditions among various ethnic and religious groups. Despite hosting a Hindu majority in its sorry, Despite hosting a Hindu majority, it is difficult to attach a singular and unifying notion of identity to Indian culture. The folk and tribal arts of India express the cultural diversity of the nation and provide a window through which one can explore the rich heritage of Indian culture. In body, folk paintings, medium to transmit communities, culture, and beliefs. Medium to transmit communities, culture, and beliefs. The purpose of the folk art is to serve as a medium through which a community's traditions, beliefs, and attitudes can be transmitted and passed from one generation to another. Okay, this is often achieved within families and community via practical demonstrations, conversation, and daily. Okay, example: Varli tribal art. Warli tribal art is representative of this attitude and mainly uses geometric structures such as circles, triangles, squares to depict daily and social events of Warli tribe. Altogether, the paintings are reminiscent of prehistoric cave paintings, okay, in execution and depict human figures engaged in hunting, dancing, sowing, and harvesting. The paintings are traditionally done in homes of Warlis and have served as a means of transmitting stories and traditions to a populace not acquainted with the written word. Okay, folk art was developed to address the real, very real needs and desires of a community. Once that need is removed, the relevant folk art may gradually vanish within the annals of history thanks to decreased transmission and communication of its existence within the community. Okay. The Indian folk arts have also served as a medium of expression for the cultures of nomadic tribes and ethnic groups within the society. The relevant art forms express the transient and dynamic patterns of lifestyles that said communities have experienced while traveling across India. Over the course of Indian history, the various folk art forms of the nation have been protected and survived under the umbrella of religious and ethnic traditions revolving around familial beliefs and daily practices. Okay, in conclusion, Indian folk art abounds in expression of the country's rich heritage. Indian art forms are diverse and exquisite in nature, but also explicit in their use as a medium of communicating ancient oral traditions with 29 states and 7 union territories, each with which each with their own distinct cultural and traditional identities. India boasts a collage of folk art forms that speak volumes about this country's diverse cultural identity that is rooted in the daily lives of its people. Okay. Next topic is Our next question is all major classical Indian dance forms include in repertoire three categories of performance in the Natya Shastra. These are Nritta, Nritya, and Natya. Elaborate. So the key demand of this question is to write about the classical Indian dance forms and the Natya, Nritya, and Nritya and Natya aspects of it. Okay. So the active word here is elaborate. What is it? Yeah, here elaborate. So what is the meaning of elaborate? Give a detailed account as to how and why it occurred or what is the context. You must be defining key terms wherever appropriate and substantiate with relevant associated facts. Okay. So in the introduction, begin by giving context regarding the classical dance forms and the list of dances. In body, in the first part, write about the nritta aspects of the classical dance and abstract, fast, and rhythmic aspects of the dance. Next, write about nritya, slower and expressive aspect of the dance that attempts to communicate feelings, storyline, particularly with spiritual themes in Hindu dance traditions. Next, write about natyam, a play typically a team performance but can be acted out by a solo performer where the dancer uses certain standardized body movements. In conclusion, conclude by summarizing. Okay. So, in introduction, dance in India has a rich and vital tradition dating back to ancient times. Excavations, inscriptions, chronicles, genealogies of kings and artists, literary sources, sculpture, and painting of different periods provide extensive evidence on dance. Myths and legends also support the view that dance had a significant place in the religious and social life of the Indian people. Excavations have brought to light a bronze statue from Mohenjo-daro and a broken torso from Harappa dating back to 2500 to 1500 BCE are suggestive of dance poses. Okay, in body there is the aspects of Indian classical dances. Then conclusion. Okay, what are the aspects of Indian classical dances? Dance is considered as having three aspects, which are they? Natya, Nritya, and Nritta. Once more, Natya, Nritya, and Nritta. Natya highlights the dramatic element and most dance forms. Okay, Natya highlights the dramatic element and most dance forms do not. Okay, most dance forms do not give emphasis to this aspect today, with the exception of dance drama forms like Kathakali. Okay, Nritya is essentially expressional, performed specifically to convey the meaning of a theme or idea. Okay, Nritya is a pure dance where body movements do not express any mood, bhava, nor do they convey any meaning. Okay, to present Nritya and Natya effectively, a dancer should be trained to communicate the Navarasas. These are love, Shringara, Mirth, Hasya, compassion, Karuna, valor, Veera, anger, Raudra, fear, Bhayanak, disgust, Bibhatsa, wonder, Adbhuta, and peace, Shanta. An ancient classification followed in all styles is of Tandava and Lasya. Tandava, the masculine, is heroic, bold, and vigorous. Lasya, feminine, is soft, lyrical, and graceful. Bharata and Nandigeshwara, the main authorities, conceive of dance as an art which uses the human body as a vehicle of expression. Okay, the major human units of the body, Anka, are identified as the head, torso, the upper and lower limbs, and the minor human parts, Ubangas, as all parts of the face ranging from the eyebrow to the chin and minor joints. Two further aspects of Natya are the modes of presentation and the style. Okay, there are two modes of presentation, namely Natya Dharmi, which is a formalized presentation of theatre, and Log Dharmi, sometimes translated as folk, realistic, naturalistic, or regional. Okay, style or vrittis are classified into Kaishigi, the deft lyrical, more suited to convey the lasya aspects. Arbati, the energetic masculine. Satvadi, often used while depicting the rasas, and Bharati, the literary content. Okay. In conclusion, nurtured for centuries, dance in India has evolved in different parts of the country in its own distinct style, taking on the culture of that particular religion, each acquiring its own flavor. Today, there is also a whole new body of modern experimental dance. Okay. Next topic is the difference between the Hindustani and the Carnatic. Carnatic is how the two traditions engage with composition and improvisation in their own distinctive ways. Analyze. Okay, the difference between Hindustani and Carnatic is how the two traditions engage with composition and improvisation in their own distinct ways. Analyze. Okay, so the key demand of this question is to write about the evolution of music and compare Hindustani and Carnatic music. Okay, here the directive word is analyze. When asked to analyze, you must examine methodically the structure or nature of the topic by separating it into component parts and present them in a summary. Okay. How many more questions are there in this topic? Let's check. 1 minute. Okay, few more questions. Hardly 4 questions. Okay, for 4 topics. Okay. Introduction. Give a brief introduction about the Indian music. One can state facts, historical genesis of Indian music. Okay, body. First, Hindustani and Carnatic music are the two main genres of Indian classical music. While Hindustani music originated in the Vedic period, Carnatic music originated during the Bhakti movement. Bhakti movement. Okay, give the detailed differences between the two. Next, highlight the similarities between Hindustani classical and Carnatic music. In conclusion, conclude it by summarizing. Okay, so in introduction, music has always been an important part of Indian life. The range of musical phenomenon in India extends from simple melodies to what is one of the most well-developed systems of classical music in the world. There are references to various string and wind instruments, as well as several kinds of drums and cymbals in the Vedas. Some date of the advent of the system of classical Indian music to Amir Khusro. Muslim rulers and noblemen freely extended their patronage to music. In the courts of Mughal emperors, music is said to have flourished, and the tansan was one of the jewels of Akbar's court. The great poet saints who chose to communicate in the vernacular tongues brought forth a great upheaval in the North India, and the Bhakti or devotional movements they had gained many adherents. The lyrics of Surdas, Tulasidas, and more particularly Kabir and Mirabai continued to be immensely popular. By the 16th century, the division between North Indian, Hindustani, and South Indian Carnatic music was also being more sharply delineated. Okay, in body, Hindustani music features, then Carnatic music features similarities and differences, then the area of differences, then conclusion. Okay, so Hindustani music features. The 6 primary ragas in Hindustani classic are Bhairava, Kaushika, Hindola, Deepak, Sri Raga, and Megh. Which are they? Bhairava, Kaushika, Hindola, Deepak, Sri Raga, and Megh. Ragas in Hindustani classic music used to strictly observe the time theory. Example, Bhairavi at dawn, Megh in the morning. Okay, ragas in the Hindustani music are also associated with feelings and moods. Example, Bhairavi with awe and fear, Kaushika with joy. Okay. Next, it has highly formalized grammar dictated by textual as well as oral tradition. Okay, Hindustani music places more emphasis on improvisation and exploring all aspects of raga. Slow and sometimes even leisurely introductory section, alab, followed by solfege and a fast section with fast melodic phrases and rhythmic play. There is significant emphasis on space between the notes. Okay, Hindustani classical music has been influenced considerably by Persian traditions. Okay, musical instruments used in Hindustani are tabla, sarangi, sitar, sandur, flute, and violin. Okay, main styles in Hindustani music: Drupad, Kayal, Tapa, Chaduranga, Tarana, Sargam, Tumri, Raga Sagar, Hori, and Damar. Okay. Carnatic music features. It is an indigenously developed style of classical music. The Mela Karta scheme is a highly comprehensive and systematic formula which includes within its fold all the modes used in ancient as well as modern systems of music of the different parts of the world. It is strongly Kriti based. Okay, Carnatic music is strongly Kriti based. Carnatic music, unity of raga, tala, and shruti is in every piece. Okay, the system gives equal importance to melody and rhythm, mixing the 3 degrees of speed. Fewer instruments are used in Karnataka than in North Indian music. Okay, and there are no exclusively instrumental forms. Okay, there is an even balance between recreativity, soulful interpretation of the compositions of great masters, and creativity on the spot improvisations. Some of the important Carnatic music compositions are Geetam, Suladi, Swarajadi, Jadiswaram, Varnam, Kriti, Kritanam, Kriti, Pada, Javeli, Pallavi. Similarities. Although there are stylistic differences, the basic elements of Swara, Raga, and Tala as foundation of both Carnatic and Hindustani are same. Okay, Hindustani music originated in the Vedic period, while Carnatic music originated during Bhakti period. Okay, thus both are having great association with the religion. Okay, Carnatic is one of the two main subgenres of India classical music that evolved from ancient Hindu traditions. The other subgenre being Hindustani music, which emerged as a distinct form due to Persian and Islamic influences in North India. Both the music evolved with Sanskrit language scripts in itself and through Vedic traditions. The central notions in both these systems is that melodic mode or raga or tala. Both the styles have a history dating back to thousands of years, and over this long period, both have undergone various changes. The ragas pertain to definite scales like in Western music, but they have a floating starting point or sam, etc. Both the Carnatic and Hindustani styles give principal prominence to the melody. Both has one leading swara or vadiswar in every raga. Okay. Both use Sambhurna scale with all 7 notes to describe Janak, Tat or Raga to make Janya Raga. Okay, both use Tampura or drawn with 1 or 2 notes to signify pitch and bass in Raga version. So, what are the differences? Main emphasis in Carnatic music is in vocal music. Okay, Carnatic music, main emphasis on vocal music, and most compositions are to be sung involving Gaigi style. Okay, in Hindustani music, vocal centric group is required. Many instruments are designed to accompany the singer. Okay, rules of practice. Carnatic is more rigid than Hindustani to practice, while Hindustani music has had Persian influence in the vast northern geography of India. Carnatic music did not undergo much change. Hindustani music ended up creating gharanas or clubs based on styles of singing. Okay, areas of differences: Carnatic and Hindustani. Okay, Carnatic versus Hindustani. Ragas. How many ragas are there in Carnatic? 72 ragas. In Hindustani, only 6 major ragas. Okay, instruments used in Carnatic: Veena, Mridangam, and mandolin. In Hindustani, tabla, sarangi, sitar, and sandur. Sandur. Okay, influence: Carnatic is indigenous. Hindustani, Afghan, Persian, and Arab. Okay, substyles. Okay, in Carnatic, only one particular prescribed style of singing. Okay, in Hindustani, several substyles. Okay, freedom. Carnatic, no freedom to improvise. Okay, Hindustani, scope to do variations and improvise. Okay, vocal and instruments. Carnatic, both have equal importance. Okay. Hindustani, more importance to vocal. In Hindustani, more importance to vocal. Okay, exponents. Carnatic music was evolved mainly by Shyama Shastri, Tyagaraja, Muthuswami Dikshidhar, and Saint Purandara Das. Okay, Hindustani, Tansen. Tansen is a famous Hindustani singer. Okay, Hindustani Tansen and his contemporary musicians mostly performed in Drupad sort, and later Khayal singing was promoted by Sadarang and Adarang. Okay, conclusion. Hindustani and Carnatic music played an important role in uniting Indians by generating the feeling of oneness and nationalism during national movement. Even today, it is practiced during festivals as a stage performance in cinemas and bringing fame for Indian culture by reaching wider in Western world. Okay. Next topic is puppetry. Puppetry throughout the ages has held an important place in traditional entertainment. Puppets from different parts of the country have their own identity. Elaborate. Okay, the question is to write puppetry as a traditional art and its regional identities. So the directive word here is elaborate. Give a detailed account as to how and why it occurred or what is the context. You must be defining key terms wherever appropriate and substantiate with the relevant associated facts. Okay, introduction. Start with what Indian puppetry is and its diversity across Indian states. Okay, in body, write in detail about how puppetry draws from painting, sculpture, music, dance, drama, and other visual arts. Cite examples to substantiate your points. Next, write about the diverse forms of regional Indian puppetry and its various types. Conclusion. Conclude by writing about the importance of puppetry as a visual art. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 4 more questions, including puppetry one. Okay. Introduction. A puppet is one of the most remarkable and ingenious inventions of the man. Puppetry is a type of narrative theater at the crossroads between bardic storytelling and theater plays. Shows include live music, narration, and gestures taken from dance. Puppetry throughout the ages has held an important place in traditional entertainment. Like traditional theater, themes for puppet theater are mostly based on epics and legends. Puppets from different parts of the country have their own identity. Regional styles of painting and sculpture are reflected in them. Puppetry in India. The earliest reference to the art of puppetry is found in Tamil classic Silappadigaram, written around the 1st or 2nd century BC. In Sanskrit terminology, Puttaliga and Puttiga means little sons. Ancient Hindu philosophers have paid the greatest tribute to puppeteers. They have likened God Almighty to a puppeteer and the entire universe to a puppet stage. Srimad Bhagavata. Srimad Bhagavata, the great epic depicting the story of Lord Krishna in his childhood, saying that with 3 strings, Satta, Raja, and Tama, the god manipulates each object in the universe as a marionette. Okay, Natya Shastra, the masterly treatise on dramaturgy, written sometimes during 2nd century BC to 2nd century AD, does not refer to the art of puppetry, but the producer come director of the human theater has been termed as Sutradhar, meaning the holder of strings. Okay. Stories adapted from Puranic literature, local myths, and legends usually form the content of traditional puppet theater in India, which in turn imbibes elements of all creative expressions like paintings, sculpture, music, dance, and drama. For instance, The Kathputli of Rajasthan is accompanied by a highly dramatized version of regional music. In Kundai of Odisha, the music is drawn from the popular tunes of region and is sometimes influenced by the music of Odisha dance. Okay, almost all types of puppets are found in India. Puppetry throughout the ages has held an important place in traditional entertainment. Like traditional theater, themes for puppet theater are mostly based on epics and legends. Example, in Tolu Bommalata of Andhra Pradesh, the music is dominantly influenced by the classical music of the region, and the theme of the puppet plays are drawn from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the Puranas. Episodes enacted in Gombayata of Karnataka. Gombayata of Karnataka are usually based on prasangas of the Yakshana plays. The music that accompanies is dramatic and beautifully blends folk and classical elements. Puppets from different parts of the country have their own identity. Okay, in Togalu Kombayata of Karnataka, the puppets, however, differ in size according to their social status. For instance, large size for kings and religious characters, and small size for common people or servants. Regional styles of painting and sculpture are reflected in them. Okay, example, traditional glove puppet play is called Pavakothu. It came into existence during the 18th century due to the influence of Kathakali, the famous classical dance drama of Kerala, on puppet performance. The face of the puppets are decorated with paints, small and thin pieces of gilded tin, the feathers of peacock, etc. The theme for glow puppet plays in Kerala is based on the episodes from either the Ramayana or the Mahabharata. However, the art of puppetry is dying due to following reasons: lack of patronage in the modern age, competition from electronic media, in which is a preferred mode of entertainment. People find it more appealing to watch mythological stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata on electronic media rather than in puppetry. Puppetry art is usually to only define confined only devotional and mythological stories. With the changing times, puppetry does not take up modern social issues. Puppetry lacks modernization in terms of script, lighting, sound, and other stage effects. Conclusion: besides traditional puppetry, India is home to a lively contemporary scene. Independent India opened up to artistic exchange, and new forms and techniques affected puppetry, introducing new styles and giving origin to a refined urban puppet theater. The birth of modern troops and the opening to the international scene created new contexts for traditional puppetry to flourish. Several festivals organized in the last decades offer the stage to traditional troops. So far, modernity threatened the very survival of traditional puppetry, but a more conscious use of contemporary means and opportunities is actually the key to preserve this rich heritage of India. Okay. Next topic is, what do you understand by intangible cultural heritage? Why is it important to protect intangible heritage of India? What are the various measures aimed at protecting and preserving intangible cultural heritage of India? Okay, the key demand of this question is to write about the need for protecting intangible heritage of India. Introduction begin by writing about the UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage. In body, in the first part, write the items in the UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage and the region they belong to. Next, write need for protecting intangible heritage of India. Cultural heritage, source of livelihood, dying hearts, celebrating diversity, etc. Next, write about the steps that have been taken to protect intangible heritage of India. In conclusion, conclude by stating the importance of intangible heritage of India. Okay. Introduction: intangible cultural heritage indicates the practices, representations, expressions, knowledge, skills, as well as instruments, objects, artifacts, cultural space, and cultural spaces associated therewith that communities, groups, and in some cases individuals recognize as part of their cultural heritage. UNESCO 2003. Okay, examples of intangible heritage are oral traditions, performing arts, local knowledge, and traditional skills. Okay, body will discuss the importance of protection of intangible heritage of India, measures aimed at protecting and preserving intangible cultural heritage, and conclusion. Okay, so in body, UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage is a coveted list, is made up of those intangible heritage elements that help demonstrate diversity of cultural heritage and raise awareness about its importance. The list was established in 2008 when the Convention for Safeguarding of the Intangible Cultural Heritage came into effect. Importance of protection of intangible heritage of India. It helps to recognize the diversity of Indian culture embedded in its intangible heritage. Okay, it reflects India's multicultural identity as a people and nation, and resonates strongly with Indians across all races and social strata. Okay, it intends to enhance the visibility of communities, cultural practices, and know how, aiming to safeguard the intangible cultural heritage of communities nationally and globally. Its importance is not in the cultural manifestation itself, but in the wealth of knowledge, know how, and skills that are transmitted from one generation to the next. There is a need to raise awareness about, about the various intangible cultural heritage elements from different states of India at national and international level and ensure their protection. The Union Ministry of Culture has also launched the draft National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage of India. Okay, the National ICH Intangible Cultural Heritage List is an attempt to recognize the diversity of Indian culture embedded in its intangible heritage. This initiative is also a part of Vision 2024 of the Ministry of Culture. Okay, measures aimed at protecting and preserving in the intangible cultural heritage. The National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage of India is an attempt to recognize the diversity of Indian culture embedded in its intangible heritage. It aims to raise awareness about the various intangible culture heritage elements from different states of India at national and international level and ensure their protection. Okay, the National ICH list is an attempt to recognize the diversity of Indian culture embedded in its intangible heritage. This initiative is also a part of Vision 2024 of the Ministry of Culture. The Ministry of the Culture has formulated a scheme titled Scheme for Safeguarding the Intangible Heritage and Diverse Cultural Traditions of India, with the objective of reinvigorating and revitalizing various institutions, groups, individuals, identified non-MOC institutions, non-government organizations, researchers, and scholars, so that they may engage in activities, projects for strengthening, protecting, preserving, and promoting the rich intangible cultural heritage of India. This scheme will cover all recognized domains of ICH, such as oral traditions and expressions, including language as a vehicle of the intangible cultural heritage, performing arts, social practices, rituals, and festive events, knowledge, and practices concerning nature and universe, traditional craftsmanship, etc. The Union Ministry of Culture has also launched the draft National List of Intangible Cultural Heritage of India. India has successfully inscribed 14 intangible cultural heritage elements in, in the UNESCO representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity under 2003 convention. Following UNESCO 2003 convention for safeguarding of the intangible cultural heritage, this list has been classified into 5 broad domains in which intangible cultural heritage is manifested: oral traditions and expressions, including language as a vehicle of intangible cultural heritage; performing arts, social practices, rituals, and festive events, knowledge and practices concerning nature and the universe, traditional craftsmanship. Okay. Conclusion. India has a vast basket of living and diverse cultural traditions, traditional expressions, intangible cultural heritage, compromising masterpieces which need institutional support and encouragement with a view to addressing areas critical for survival and propagation of these forms of cultural heritage. Though such preservation efforts are being carried out in a scattered form, a need is being felt to have an institutionalized and centralized scheme for concerted efforts in the direction of professionally enhancing awareness and interest in intangible cultural heritage, safeguarding, promoting, and propagating it systematically. Okay, value addition. UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage from India. Intangible cultural heritage element, year of inscription. Tradition of Vedic chanting 2008. Ram Leela, the traditional performance of Ramayana, 2008. Kudiyatam, Sanskrit theatre, 2008. Ramman, religious festival and ritual theatre of the Garhwal Himalayas, India, 2009. Mudiyettu, ritual theatre and Kerala, dance drama of Kerala, 2010. Kalbelia, folk songs and dances of Rajasthan, 2010. Chau dance, 2010. Buddhist chanting of Ladakh, recitation of sacred Buddhist texts in the Trans-Himalayan Ladakh region, Jammu and Kashmir, India, 2012. Sankirtana, ritual singing, drumming and dancing of Manipur, 2013. Traditional brass and copper craft of utensil making among the Tatteras of Jandiala Guru, Punjab, India, 2014. Yoga, 2016. Nauroz, okay, 2016. Kumbh Mela, 2017. Durga Puja in Kolkata, 2021. Okay. So, examine the various threats to nations' cultural heritage, monuments, and heritage buildings. What steps should be taken to preserve our heritage? Okay, key demand of this question to write about the reasons as to why heritage is under threat and the need to safeguard India's art heritage and the steps that need to be taken for the same. Okay, here the directive word is examine. When asked to examine, we must investigate the topic, content words in detail, inspect it, investigate it, and establish the key facts and issues related to the topic in question. While doing so, we should explain why these facts and issues are important and their implications. Okay, structure of the question. Introduction. Explain about what all is included in India's art heritage, paintings, sculpture, monuments, etc. Body. First, highlight that preserving our heritage is enshrined as a fundamental duty. Next, examine the threats to art heritage, such as lack of public awareness. This makes the local administrator break the buildings and replace it with other structures, duplication of paintings and art forms, theft, vandalism, and smuggling, etc. Discuss why it is crucial to safeguard such heritage, such as maintaining identity and pride of our country, tourism, etc. Next, discuss the way forward, such as strengthening institutions, Ministry of Culture, ASI, museums, archives, cultural awareness programs, etc. Conclusion. Summarize on why this issue requires attention and what needs to be done. Okay, introduction. India has a vast basket of living and diverse cultural traditions, traditional expressions, intangible cultural heritage comprising masterpieces which need institutional support and encouragement with a view to addressing areas critical for the survival and the propagation of these forms of cultural heritage. Preserving our heritage is enshrined as a fundamental duty in our constitution. World Heritage Week is approaching in the third week of November. During this time, every year, we see a plethora of events and social media posts that celebrate heritage. It becomes an occasion to spread awareness about the cultural diversity represented by heritage sites. Okay, body. Threats to Indian cultural heritage: theft, smuggling, tourism, issues with the security of museums, lack of public awareness, duplication, poor maintenance, encroachment of monuments. Okay, so theft. The incidents of theft has been have been observed usually from the unprotected monuments, ancient temples. The theft cases have also been seen in the protected monuments and museums as well. It is due to negligence of security guards in museums, monuments, etc. Smuggling, illicit traffic and smuggling in antiquities. Illicit traffic is motivated often by profit and sometimes by the demand for luxuries. Okay, tourism, unregulated tourism, tourist activities run by touts, private agents have been affected the art heritage places. The Culture Ministry of India has reported that up to 24 Indian monuments have been declared untraceable or missing by the Archaeological Survey of India. Issues with security of museums. Most of the museums are poorly guarded due to shortage of manpower, leading to theft of artifacts, fire accidents, etc. Lack of public awareness. This leads to poor maintenance, vandalism, spoiling the monuments artifacts, replacing the structures or building structures close to monuments. Okay. Duplication, fakes of paintings and art forms, leading to threat to livelihoods of artists. Poor maintenance. The state of the wall paintings in Ajanta caves is continuously getting worse, which can be attributed to humidity as well as lack of care. Encroachment of monuments. Another miss from the ministry has been encroachments of monuments. Over 278 centrally protected monuments have been encroached upon or have illegal occupants as per government data. Rationale behind safeguarding the cultural heritage. Okay. Evolution of human consciousness is a continuous process. History here serves as a laboratory, and the past serves as a demarcation to understand the regional laws and social structures. This understanding helps our progress towards an ideal society. The art heritage is the identity and pride of our country. It is the duty of every citizen to protect, preserve, and perpetuate the cultural richness. Tourism potential for art monuments and museums is very high. Tourism generates revenue for the state as well as private artists due to money multiplier quality. Infrastructure development takes place in and around the areas. Example, Hampi, despite being a small town, has excellent infrastructure. It creates jobs for a lot of people from art industry and tourism industry as well. It creates a feeling of oneness and a sense of attachment by enhancing a sense of belonging to a culture or a region. Every historical site has an important story to tell, and these stories have inspired many people to strengthen their convictions and commitment to fight injustice and oppression. Okay, way forward: strengthening legislations and initiatives, strengthening institutions, cultural awareness, adaptive reuse of heritage sites. Okay, strengthening legislations and initiatives. Antiquity, the Antiquity Act of 1947, Antiquities and Art Treasuries Act of 1972, Antiquities Act of 1947, Antiquities and Art Treasures Act of 1972 particularly provide for the prevention of smuggling and illegally dealing in antiques. Recent bill to amend the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Sites and Remains Act, which allowed construction within 100 meters of the protected monuments, should be avoided. Okay, in 2015, the ministry launched an initiative of e-ticketing services in over 116 monuments under the ASI and launched an initiative to digitize cultural resources. Okay, strengthening in its institutions. CAG report on preservation and conservation of monuments and antiques clearly indicates that the Archaeological Survey of India for this purpose needs to be more proactive and vigilant in its efforts, and the ministry needs to develop an aggressive strategy for the same, tapping of the public-private partnership models for sustenance of arts and crafts, setting up at least one museum in each district with different chambers for visual and other forms of art, architecture, science, history, and geography with regional flavor. Artists from the field of architecture, sculpture, painting, handicrafts, puppetry, music, dance, theater, and literature will be graded by a center on the basis of their performance. Cultural awareness, curriculum modification, identification and inclusion of heritage as an asset in school, open departments of heritage management on the lines of Ahmedabad University. Okay, introduction of a compulsory offline and online trading for tourism purposes, willing to undertake ventures, heritage depiction and promotion through immersive technology and augmented reality. Okay, reclassify heritage and announce awards for people with exceptional heritage sense, greater involvement of universities in schemes promoting arts and culture, as well as inclusion of fine arts as a subject in universities. Okay, adaptive reuse of heritage sites, restoring the historical sites in the form of festivals and inducing festivity link perceptions, recognizing cultural heritage tourism as an upcoming industry by building cultural resources with an adaptation of scientific and technological knowledge to local circumstances, as well as forming partnerships between local and global bodies. Okay, conclusion. It is the duty of every citizen to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. The art and culture of our nation are a vast continuum, evolving incessantly since time immemorial. Naturally, preservation and conservation of India's rich cultural heritage and promotion of all forms of art and culture, both tangible and intangible, including monuments and archaeological sites, art, anthropology and ethnology, folk and tribal arts, literature and handicrafts, performing art of music, dance, drama, and visual arts of paintings, sculpture, graphics is essential and assumes a lot of importance. Okay. Next question or topic is post-independent Indian architecture depicts India's tryst with modernism, emblematic of an ambitious new nation. Justify with examples. Okay, the key demand of this question is to show how in post-independent Indian architecture is modern and show India's new ambition. Here the active word is justify with examples. To justify a statement means to show or prove that the statement is reasonable, and you show that using examples. Okay, introduction. Begin the answer by introducing post-modern architecture. Post-independence architectural styles were mostly in consonance with the science and modern building techniques, which are universally accepted. Body. Show using examples how post-modern architecture depicts its tryst with modernism. Give examples, especially that of B.V. Doshi. Most of the successful Indian architects, including Charles Correa, Raj Ravel, and B.V. Doshi, blended vernacular elements into modernism, giving it a rich flavor that demarcates the identity of Indian architecture. Also, development of Chandigarh by Le Corbusier. The well-ordered matrix of the city has been developed to meet the rising urban challenges. Next, briefly write a few limitations. Conclusion. Conclude by saying that Indian architecture is a fine mix of modernism with traditional insights. Okay, introduction. India had a glorious history in terms of its rich art and architecture, starting from 3000 BC. During the British period from 1615 to 1947, the major cities of Delhi, Calcutta, Mumbai, Chennai were highlighted with rich colonial styles of Indo-Saracenic architecture. After independence, there was a boom of building activities and there were confusions and debates on the style of architecture to be followed, modernism or historicism. Different styles of modernism evolved, raising the question of identifying post independent architecture. The architecture of this period goes far beyond the range of any particular style. These styles were mostly in consonance with science and modern building techniques, which are universally accepted. Okay, background. Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, had a far vision for the betterment and development of art and architecture in India. He invited Le Corbusier to design the capital of the state Punjab, Chandigarh. Le Corbusier, Le Corbusier designed the Legislative Assembly, Secretariat, and High Court. Chandigarh became a powerful symbol of New India and inspired the architects and public for a forward-looking modern architecture in the post-independence period. India's tryst with modernism, a unique experiment in this regard made by Le Corbusier in the development of Chandigarh as explained above. The well-ordered matrix of the city has been developed to meet the rising urban challenges, example traffic congestion. The contribution of Lowry Baker in the mass housing project of Kerala is also worth mentioning in this time period. He used the locally available materials in construction of low cost houses. He incorporated several of the traditional practices to ensure the building were in consonance with environmental conservation. Okay, the Goan architect Charles Correa is also another notable architect known for designing Sabarmati Ashram, Kanchenjunga Apartment Tower, planning of Navy Mumbai. He placed emphasis on prevailing resources, energy, and climate as major determinants in the ordering of the space. Ahmedabad, a new cultural and architectural awakening, was initiated by the textile industrialists led by the Sarabhai family, who commissioned Le Corbusier to work on 5 projects there. Le Corbusier designed the Mill Owners Association building headquarters for the textile company in 1954. An indigenous language of brick and concrete was displayed in the architecture of YMCA Staff Housing Delhi 1963 by Ranjit Sabiki. The form was characterized by the repetition of geometric forms and its plans dictated by social, functional, and climatic considerations. The permanent exhibition complex, Pragati Maidan, New Delhi, 1972, by Raj Reval, was characterized by monumental truncated pyramid form with a space frame structure made of concrete elements. The depth of the structural system used as a sunbreaker and conceived as a traditional jail, harmonizing with the environment. The India International Center, New Delhi, 1958, by Joseph Allen Stein, was contextual and rational, understanding the climate with sun-shaded walls, jali screens, courtyards, etc. The Kovalam Resort, Trivandrum, 1974, by Charles Correa, reflect the traditional architecture of Kerala with sloping roofs and hillside architecture, giving every room a view to the sea. Okay. Analysis. Although we see a major metamorphosis of architecture ever since 1950 towards modernism, inspired by the renowned international architects Le Corbusier and Louis Kahn, the identity of Indian architecture is not pure modernism. Most of the successful Indian architects, including Charles Correa, Raj Reval, and B.V. Doshi, blended vernacular elements into modernism, giving it a rich flavor that demarcates the identity of Indian architecture. They used deep overhangs, courtyards, and shading devices, pergolas, jali screens to create an aesthetically appealing climate responsive design. Charles Correa has a deep understanding of cultural values, mythological spaces, and historical architecture of India. He emphatically blended the Navagraha mandalas in two of his projects, where the traditional elements cannot be separated from modernism. Raj Reval was very fluent in using vernacular elements of Jaisalmer town in most of his projects, incorporating the hierarchy of social spaces, street patterns, urban fabric, abstract chatris, locally available materials. The magnificence of spaces in the projects of V. Doshi, especially IIM Bangalore, adds a sensational aroma to Indian modernism, which includes the play of light and shade, covered, semi-covered, and open contractors, and the integration of landscape into the buildings. Okay, conclusion. Indian modernism is not just about form, function, materials, structure, but it adds another fourth dimension, which is the feel of fresh air and nature inside the aesthetically profound spaces. Indian modernism is not just architect of the rich, but of the poor with intricate cultural details assimilated like Aranya Housing by B.V. Toshi and Belapur Housing by Charles Correa. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you in next video. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Bye.